This is breaking news from the Las Vegas Review-Journal, sponsored by Michael Gaughan's South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa.
I just want to give you a short background. On October 5th, 1980, at about 9 p.m., the body of a young deceased female was found in the city of Henderson in the area of Arroyo Grande Boulevard and Lake Mead Parkway. The female was initially located by passing motorists in the desert area, and all attempts to identify this female over many, many years were unsuccessful. Since that time, this female has only been known as Jane Arroyo Grande Doe. At the time, the Clark County Coroner's Office ruled Jane's death a homicide. The initial detective in this case, John Williams, investigated the homicide from 1980 through his retirement in 2006. I was humbled to find out just recently that Detective Williams and his wife paid for Jane's burial costs initially. Just thank you for that, for your compassion, sir. And he continues to visit her gravesite each year on the date of her death. After his retirement, John has remained invested in the case, even to the point in 2015, he went with the new lead detective, Joe Ebert, to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children to present the case. Since 2015, Detective Ebert has remained committed to finding Jane's true identity in an effort to bring closure to her family and to pursue her killer. The amount of work Joe has put in is just astonishing in this regard. I'm proud to say today that Detective Williams and Ebert's efforts have finally paid off. We have positively identified Jane Arroyo Grande Doe as Tammy Corrine Terrell. She was born on the 4th of July, 1963. Tammy was 17 years old at the time she was murdered. We were able to identify Tammy with the use of investigative genetic genealogy. Just the background on investigative genetic genealogy, it involves the use of DNA testing and databases to determine relationships between individuals and identify possible relatives of unidentified victims. Detectives then contact these potential relatives in an attempt to identify if family members are missing or if they can provide additional leads on possible other family members that we can contact. Through this process, this lengthy process, I would say, we located two of Tammy's sisters who were able to confirm her identity when they supplied us with DNA. Tammy's sisters, I will tell you, were tremendously grateful to finally know what happened to their sister 41 years ago. You know, now we're only halfway there. Now the pursuit of Tammy's killer or killers begins. We are seeking the public's help to bring Tammy's killers to justice, and I wanted to provide just some basic information that Tammy was last seen at a restaurant in Roswell, New Mexico after the Roswell State Fair on September 28th, 1980. She was seen with a white female and white male adult, and if you have any information related to who these individuals might be, or if you've seen her in the area or in any progression from New Mexico through Arizona to Nevada during that time frame, we ask that you contact us at the Henderson Police Department at 702-267-4750, or you can also contact us at Crime Stoppers at 702-385-5555. You know, we didn't get to this conclusion alone. Joe put in tremendous effort, but we had a ton of partners in this endeavor, and I would just be hesitant to say if I didn't recognize some of them. First, the volunteers of the Henderson Police Department Cold Case Unit, who come in and volunteer their time to assist us in investigating these cold cases. We really appreciate your effort. The FBI, Barbara Ray Venter with Firebird Forensics, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, the Clark County Coroner's Office, and Terry Muir with the Unsolved Mysteries team. I will open it up for one or two questions. There may be some that I can answer, but this is still an active investigation, so there's some I may not be able to address.
Okay, so she was not a Henderson resident?
She was not a Henderson resident.
And do you have cause of death?
We do have cause of death. Cause of death is determined to be a homicide.
But do you know
Blunt force trauma was the initial causation.
With emerging technologies and DNA, how big is that for law enforcement?
You know, with the unidentified folks, it is, you know, any murder investigation, it begins with knowing who the victim are and knowing who they're associated to. And so it's a major hurdle if you don't know who that person is. I mean, obviously, Tammy was not known for 41 years. So as in anything with law enforcement, we try to stay up with the times, right? We try to stay up with the new technology. DNA has obviously made leaps and bounds from when, at this time, you know, DNA wasn't there. They didn't have a great knowledge of the DNA. They were smart enough to still take samples of things for future, you know, future hope of progression. But we continue to see advancements. And so as those advancements come out, we try to implement them and learn about them and then include them into our investigations, which for some of these cold cases is amazing. Just to be able to identify an individual from 41 years ago is unbelievable. So.
Can you talk a little bit about the timeline real quick? She was at the Roswell Fair. When was that?
So that was on September 28th, 1980. She was dropped off at the Roswell Fair, State Fair. She was later seen that night around 10 p.m. at a restaurant in Roswell. And that's when she was seen with a white male and a white female adult. And that's the last information of where she was seen that we have.
And when do we find her here?
She was found October 5th, 1980. So roughly a week later, you have roughly a week time frame where she was found from, either traveled in some mechanism from New Mexico to here.
Did the family give any indication to her state of mind? Was she trying to get away from him? What's the deal with her? Is there anything else about that?
I can't get into that information with you. That's one thing I cannot answer.
So she was from New Mexico?
She was living in New Mexico, yes, that is correct, in Roswell. All right, well, anything?
Sorry, this case helped establish the full case website, and I'm just wondering if you can talk a bit about the influence that this case has had, and really just how it feels to have some closure. We have a photo of her right here after so long.
It's amazing. We, we've been looking into cold cases. Obviously, we never let these things rest. We've made some advancements. Our volunteers have been crucial in keeping a lot of these cases alive. The detectives' investments. I mean, John Williams is here, and I know he just got out of the hospital recently. I mean, it just shows his investment. We've also put some mechanisms in place where we have a team developed now that looks at these cases. They go back and look at them holistically. So they look at new technologies, new leads. It's a cross section of detectives, crime scene analysts, lab personnel, to where we look at leads that may not have been exhausted, that new technologies may address. And so that we implement that, and it's kind of a team environment to round table those things now. So, it's rewarding. I mean, obviously John's been on this case for 41 years. I mean, he's wanted to know who Tammy was for 41 years. He goes and visits her gravesite. So, I'm sure there's some satisfaction in that, but that's only half the story. We still need to find her killers and bring them to justice, and that's going to be the important next step. So we thank everybody for being here. We really do. The power of media and helping us, develop leads and seek out these people is always important to us. So we appreciate your partnership. We wish everybody the good rest of the day. Thank you.
Thanks.
You've been watching Breaking News from the Las Vegas Review-Journal, sponsored by Michael Gaughan's South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa.